Hi, we're here to go through the solutions of the Unit 4.1 Quiz 2 on quadrilateral proofs and polygon angles. So we're going to start here with the number 1, talks about the sum of the interior angles of a polygon, and they tell us that's 1800 degrees. So we're asked to find out how many sides it has. Well, if you recall the formula for finding the sum of the interior angles of a polygon was n minus 2 times 180. So if they tell us the sum is 1800, we just need to solve for n. So I could distribute, but it'd be a lot faster just to divide out this 180, because 180 goes into 1800 10 times, and just add that 2 to the other side. We'll find that n is 12. So we have 12-sided polygon. Moving on to number 2, it talks about the sum of the exterior angles of a 25-gon. If you recall, when we did our investigation, the sum of the exterior of any kind of polygon was always 360. So we have no work to show for this one. We just remember that it was 360. Number 3 talks about the measure of each exterior angle of a regular decagon. Well, since we're doing each, we're only doing one of them. And remember, the total sum of exterior angles is always 360. And since we have 10 of them, we're just going to take 360 and divide it among our 10 angles. So that tells us each angle is 36 degrees. All right, on to number 4. Number 4, we have a polygon. We're asked to find the missing value x here. So I'm going to count. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sides, and my n is 7 in this case. So I'm going to find the total number. So again, n minus 2, 7 minus 2, times 180 tells me that the sum of my angles, 5 times 180, should end up being 900. So I want all these angles to add up to 900. I'm going to put x here and add up the others that I have. Each of these has 100 in it, so I have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 degrees so far. And the rest of my numbers, I have this 25 and this 45 makes 70. 70 plus 40, I'm at 110. 110 plus 33, that's 143. I'll stop there. And then I have 17 and 19 adding up to 36. So if I add up all these whole numbers, I end up with 9, 7, 7. So 779 plus x equals 900. We'll just subtract to find x. So x ended up being 121 in this case. On to number 5. Number 5 appears we have a pentagon, n equals 5 in this case. I have some expressions I need to add up for, again, the total sum of the angles in my polygon. So I'm going to figure that out. 5 minus 2 times 180. So we're looking at 3 times 180, or a total of 540 degrees in this pentagon. So again, I'll add up all my angles. My 90 and 95 puts me at 185. And then I have a negative 6 and negative 4, that's negative 10, added on to 23, that's 13. So I get 8, 1, 9. So I have 198 plus my x terms. I have 3 plus 7, that's 10. 10 plus 9, looks like 19 x's. So we'll just solve for x, subtract the 198. And that's almost 200, so I end up with 19x equals 342. And if I divide out the 19, I end up with x equals 18. So x is 18 in this problem. On to number 6. Number 6, it appears I have an octagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So n is 8, and I'm asked to find x in the expression for one of these angles. So again, I'm going to start with 8 minus 2 times 180 to find the total sum of the angles. So I get 6 times 180, or 1080 for the total sum. But I only want one of those angles. So 1080 divided by 8, and that gives me the total for that one angle would be 135. So 16x plus 23 must equal 135. So we just subtract the 23, and 16x ends up equaling 112. And if I divide out the 16, we end up with x equals 7. So x is 7 in problem 6. Takes us to problem 7, and we're looking at the exterior angles of this polygon. It really doesn't matter how many we have. It looks like there's 6, but the exterior sum should always be 360 in any polygon. So I just need to add up these expressions. Again, I have 62 and 41, so that puts me at 103 so far. And then I have a negative 11 and a negative 5, that's negative 16. Negative 16 plus 13 gives me a negative 3. So my constants add up to 100. To that I need to add my x terms. I have 3x and 7x, that's 10x, 6x and 4x, that's another 10x. So I've got 20 x's total. And we can just solve this expression, subtract the 100. Sorry, I'm solving this equation. And we get 260. So x just ends up being 13 when we divide out the 20. On to problem 8. 8, we're talking about the interior angle, just one of them, of a regular polygon measures 150. We're asked to find the number of sides. Again, the total sum formula was n minus 2 times 180. That would give us the total. We don't want the total, we want to divide that among n sides and end up with just 150 degrees for one of them. So the sum divided by how many there are should equal 150. To solve this, I'm going to bring my n to the right side and distribute my 180. So I get 180n, take away 360 on the left, and 150n on the right. And I'm just going to take my n's to the left side of my equation, my constants to the right. 180 take away 150 is 30n, equal to 360. And we can just divide by 30. 30 goes in there 12 times. So we have a 12-sided polygon here. Taking us to our proofs, number 9, we were asked to just slide in the statements and the reasons. We were given a parallelogram, RSTU, and they ask us to use the definition of a parallelogram. The definition of a parallelogram just tells us we have opposite sides parallel. So down here we have only one statement that talked about parallel sides. That was RS, parallel to UT, and RU, parallel to ST. So that's our definition of parallelogram. I'm going to mark those sides parallel. And now that we have parallel sides, they asked us to come up with another statement. Not sure where that's going just yet, but I'm going to go to step 4. Step 4 said RT was congruent to itself. Well, anything is congruent to itself. That was a reflexive property of congruence, so I can slide that in. So I've got the reflexive property telling me I have this side congruent to itself. So then, before I figure out number 3, I'm going to look on to number 5. They asked us to use the angle side angle triangle congruence theorem. So I want to prove some triangles congruent, but I need some angles. So I'm going to go back up to 3, after I had parallel lines from the definition of parallelogram, remember we get some angles that are parallel, or I'm sorry, some angles that are congruent to each other. So if you recall, we have these two parallel lines. I've got this angle congruent to this angle, and with these two parallel lines, I have this angle congruent to this angle. What kind of angles were those? Our good old alternate interior. So I'm going to grab my alternate interior angles and then make sure I name the right angles. I've got angles congruent here and angles congruent here. So the first one lists SRT, but SRT is congruent to UTR, not URT. So it's that statement. And just to double check, URT was this guy, congruent to STR, which was this guy. So now I have some angles congruent, a common side congruent to itself. So I've got some triangles that are congruent. So again, I'm looking at either that statement or that statement. So I want SRT congruent to UTR or RUS congruent to TSU. So it's definitely not this one, it is that set of congruent angles, or congruent triangles. And why did we want to prove the triangle's congruent? So that we could say some of its parts are congruent. RS would be congruent to segment UT, and RU congruent to ST. So that's just our good old CPC-TC reason. All right, on to the next proof. The last one, number 10, a little longer. We're dealing with a trapezoid. Got side AD congruent to BC, that's our given. In this proof, they added an additional segment here, BE, because we can put a parallel segment to a given segment through any point. So I'm going to mark that one parallel. So we just created this parallel to this. All right, from there, they want us to say that AB, segment AB, is parallel to DE. Why is this segment parallel to this segment? Well, the only thing we have prior to this is that we have a trapezoid, and a trapezoid is defined as having one pair of parallel sides. So I'm going to grab that definition of a trapezoid. It says that pair of sides are parallel. So then they ask us to focus on ABED. That's this guy here. And they say we now know this is a parallelogram. By definition of parallelogram, we have two pairs of opposite sides parallel. Well, then from there they ask us to say that BE is congruent to AD. Well, we already have marked parallel, but why are they congruent? Well, we said this was a parallelogram, and if you recall, one of the properties of a parallelogram says opposite sides are congruent. So I'm going to slide that in. Opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. And then the next step 6, they ask us to use the transitive property of congruence from step 1 to 5. Well, 1 said AD was congruent to BC, these guys out here. But now, in step 5, they have that BE is congruent to AD. So they're both congruent to AD, so I can say BE is congruent to BC, and I'm going to mark that up here in my picture as well. BE is congruent to AC. I'm sorry, BE congruent to BC. So that was just the transitive property. So from that, we follow it with that this triangle, BEC, is isosceles, because we have those two congruent sides, definition of an isosceles triangle. So I've got an isosceles triangle. All right, where do we go next? In our proof, they say that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Well, if I look up here, angle 1 and 3, why would they be congruent? Well, remember we said this was a parallelogram, so opposite angles in a parallelogram are also congruent. That was one of our properties of parallelograms. So I can say opposite angles are congruent. The next step, they ask us to use the alternate interior angles theorem. So if I look up here, I want to find a pair of alternate interior angles. Now the only pair I have here are 3 and 4. Those are alternate interior angles. So we can say that those guys are congruent. And then they ask us to talk about the base angles of our isosceles triangle and say they're congruent.